It's still Daybreak on Trust TV. We'll move straight ahead to reviewing our national dailies this morning. And as usual, we kickstart with Daily Trust. The bolder headline states, Southern candidate Johnathan or Obi. You can read the story on pages 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And then just above the bolder headlines, Zamfara bandits adopt 150 persons in 4 days. You can read the story on page 33 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Tinubu donates 4.15 billion naira in 7 months. You can read the story on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And cargo clearance costs to rise as customs begins 4% levy collection. You can read the story on page 23 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And just below the bolder headlines, mother, 5 children killed in Katsina building collapse. You can read the story on page 18 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And how 3 Yobe teenagers emerged victorious in world competitions. You can read the story on page 12 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And then we have Sudan hit by world's worst hunger crisis, says United Nations. You can read the story on page 28 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, 22 persons killed in Niger auto crash. You can read the story on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Hawa?
All right, moving on, we have The Guardian. Right in front, we have concerns over new customs levy, weak import as car ownership turns luxury. Importers take advantage of additional charge for price gouging. That's on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. Right at the top left, we have recapitalization looms as tinubu signs insurance reform bill. That's on page 3 of The Guardian newspaper. 1.5 million children die of vaccine-preventable diseases yearly. That's on page 30 of The Guardian newspaper.
All right, we'll move ahead straight up to the Vanguard newspaper, and the bolder headline says 2027 Obi's single-term pledge raises dust. You can read the story on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then also we have Atiku, Buni, others celebrate Nafisa 17-year-old world best in English. You can read the story on page 27 of the Vanguard newspaper. Then we have APC governors rally round party chair Yelwata dismiss opposition as non-existent. You can read the story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Then we have Keyamo, aviation experts on warpath over Lagos airport renovation. You can read the story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then also we have banks wooed me with pretty ladies for deposits, sent thugs when my business went down, says Otedola. You can read the story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then we have court restrains Governor Bago from shutting Badegi FM. Read the story on page 27 of the newspaper. And we also have commissioners accuse EEDC of reducing power supply in Enugu. You can read the story on page 19 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Do well to get yourself a copy of this newspaper to get more details on the news. Hawa?
All right, joining us to review some of the headlines of the pages of today's newspaper is former director, News Voice of Nigeria, Ben Shamang. Thank you for joining us this morning, as always.
Thank you very much. At least someone has appeared today.
Good morning.
I didn't call anybody's name.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. So let's just go straight up to Daily Trust. The bolder headlines, Southern candidate Johnathan or Obi. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you see, the case of Johnathan is that he's been yearning for, at the point he said there should be single-term presidency for Nigeria for 6 years. Just do it 6 years and go, so that this battle over succession, waste of money, campaigns here and there would not come on board. But we are seeing a new thing. Now they're saying that all the political parties are virtually all of them are saying that it's the turn of the South to to produce the president. Obi is looking in between the lines. He has read in between the lines, and he believes that if he flies the kite of a single tenure of 4 years, that will be better for him. But some of his Igbo people are saying, look, Nigeria is for everybody. Why will you just want to do 4 years and quit the scene when others are battling to get 4 years time? For 8 years term, subject to winning an election. So they won't take that at all. And you can see that Rotimi Amechi is also flying that kite. Vote me in. I'll just be 4 years. Atiku is saying the same. Atiku is now a northerner. You look at that. So they are simply saying that since it is the turn of the South, let the South still continue till the next the time of election. But Atiku is now flying that ticket. Now people are saying, why doesn't Johnathan come on board? Why doesn't Obi come on board? Johnathan, if you remember his wife, Johnathan, his patience, at the point when Remi Tinubu went to Rivers State, she said, look, when you start campaigning the next period, I'll be on the rostrum campaigning with you on this rostrum. So is it that Johnathan didn't get it right with his wife, Patience? So someone is not too patient to see what is happening. So we'll wait to see.
All right. Mr. Shamang, on Daily Trust, we have Zamfara bandits abduct 150 persons in 4 days. What is your take on this with the resurgence, should I say, of these abductions that's going on in Zamfara State?
Well, when we say adopted, we just have to keep adding again because it's always happening. And when it's happening that way, of course, it calls to mind what security agencies are doing. Is it that they are not doing enough? The victims are becoming just too many. And in the midst of this, we are seeing that Turji is ready to hold some truths. Apart from that, he has released some very vulnerable people, children and women, and ready to talk, and has even given out some arms. But one dreaded terrorist there. Boko Loro or something. But at the point he was said to have been killed, but suddenly he has resurfaced. So quite a lot of things are happening that the security agencies will have to be on top of the game. But again, what does it take for these terrorists? Let's talk humanity. Let's look. I mean, when you kidnap people's wives, children, vulnerable people, and take them to the bushes, no better food, nothing. Well, how do we come out of this? Quite a lot of things are there.
All right, let's look at how. Okay, let's take a look at these headlines. How 3 Yobe teenagers emerged victorious at global competition. We've seen a huge success by these, 3 brilliant students, and they have done exceedingly well, and they should be celebrated. What are your thoughts on that?
If we are talking of Nafi, who has done Nigeria proud, I think that she deserves to be celebrated like the female footballers, the female basketballers. The teacher too should be celebrated. I also hope that the president will do not just a handshake with her, reward her, and the teacher too, maybe give the school something. But above all of this, what is this state of physical infrastructure when it comes to education in your state? What does it say in terms of what government is sending or budget allocation for education in Yobe State? It says also a lot when it comes to northern Nigeria. Look at the out of school syndrome. It's such a wide number. And of course, we've been talking about insurgency. If education is not the key, then something else will happen. So I think that in celebrating her, she could be used as the take point or a referral point. If we can make our schools better in Nigeria, and then so be it. I understand she comes from a background of a private school. So what is it by way of peer review mechanism? This school that is in Yobe that has produced the world champion, what is it that the Yobe state government can do to ensure that government-owned schools are attractive, or you give massive education, so to speak, so that poverty is being conquered via education.
Okay, let's take a look at the Guardian concerns. I think this headline is, on most of the national dailies this morning, which is concerns over new customs levy. Weak import as car ownership turns luxury. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yes. When it comes to customs, the duty of customs is, of course, for people to pay whatever they import. And I'm told that there's a rise in 50%, or 4% charge, and that one will assist the customs to do their jobs easily too. Apart from that, when excise duties or custom duties are paid on luxury goods, is targeted at the very top. But let me tell you, such taxes usually go back to the consumer. If you said somebody has imported 20 cars for sale to Nigeria and you've paid import duty this high, of course, the seller is not a Father Christmas man. He will rather add up that same, he'll compute it into the price of the cars. In the end, the consumer is always the victim. And if it is for transportation, of course, the owner of that company will have to jack up the prices. So it's not yet the huru. Even when government will say, okay, we got so amount from customs, but the price, the consequences are always on the consumer, the end user of such goods, luxury goods, whether they are aeroplanes, whether they are vehicles, whether they are luxury hotels, luxury wine, or some other wristwatches, gold, and all that stuff. So when you tax many of those things, there is no way it does not permeate, it doesn't trickle down to the masses.
Okay. The Nigerian health sector is on the news again this morning. 1.5 million children die of vaccine preventable diseases yearly. This is not a good one at all. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, like you said, it's not a good one at all. We're talking of preventable diseases. These are things via vaccination. These are things via, a clean environment. But sometimes we also wait for government too long. What does it take for us to clean our environment? To avoid mosquitoes. But you go to some settlements, you see gutters meandering and passing in front of some other people's houses, So what does it say when you're talking about sustainable goals, the millennium, sustainable goals of the UN, in terms of good water, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of all sorts of things that will make the Nigerians and their children to live longer. Why would whooping cough be an issue? Why would diarrhea be an issue? Why will this crippling disease be an issue? These are things that Nigeria should be able to capture. But we just allowed them to linger on and on and on. Everything is being politicized. It's a bad thing that children are dying this way, and this figure is so embarrassing that politicians would just be there talking about next elections instead of talking of what they should do or what they want to do for the people.
All right, quickly before we wrap up this morning, I just want to hear your thoughts on the Obi single-term pledge that is, raising a lot of dust. This is on the Vanguard newspaper. Quickly.
Yes, Obi has a right to say he wants just a single tenor, but I think that it is a political bet that is throwing to Nigerians. He's still energetic. Why will he want just 4 years if he wins? 4 years, is that enough for him when people are saying that even 8 years are not enough? But like I said earlier, the Igbo people are saying, and many of his followers, why will you just want a single term? We just go there, dance a bit and disappear. Time is over. I think that he should, Nigeria is a stake. It's not going to end tomorrow. It's not going to end in 4 years. You don't give yourself ultimatum. What foundation will you do in just 4 years? That's going to be a magic for us to see.
All right, quickly, we've on the Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu signs insurance industry reform bill into law, targets $1 trillion economy. What is your take on that, and how do you think this reform would impact the economy into pushing it into that $1 trillion economy that the president is foreseeing?
Yes. Yes, if we get the insurance industry very well in Nigeria, it's going to be nice. Because here we are, you find somebody buying a car, instead of insuring it, you just go and get Guru the liar and tie it on the steering and believe that is your insurance, African Otomoko. I don't think it's the best. We have to do a consolidation of the insurance industry. How viable are they? All those hidden clauses when it comes to claims, they have to be very, very clear. And thank God there's also what you call re. There is insurance, there is reinsurance. If, for example, you have an insurance company and some Dangote says, okay, come and show my refinery, for example. That industry, that company of insurance will have to look at how much it has on ground to absorb shocks should the Dangote refinery go aflame. So that's why they go into what they call reinsurance. In other words, there has to be a bigger company to insure that company that has insured Dangote refinery. And that's where we also have the Lloyd's of London that they help in terms of this industry. So if it's going to assist, ensure the aeroplanes, the ships industry, ensure big companies, big hotels, and all that stuff. And of course, should there be any mishap, of course, you fall back because there is an insurance that is standing so solid, like the Rock of Gibraltar. Then we have it nice.
All right, then, quickly, I think we still have just 2 minutes or 1 minute left. Let's look at mother, 5 children killed in casino building collapse. And this is rather a sad one. Please kindly share your thoughts on that.
Yes, it's another sad one, truly. A mother and her children just perished just like that. But were there warning signals in the building? If it's been a dilapidated building, an abandoned building for that long, or it's just simply collapsed, then there has to be some structural defects. And where the structural engineers who designed the building, who supervised the building, there are things you call the when it comes to the thickness of some iron rods that you put in a building to ensure integrity. And when you're talking about the cement, how many blocks do you produce per bag of cement? That tells you also the strength of any block. When you bring one sack and you now bring all sorts of sand, mix them and you make blocks, you just see the building cracking even before it's been commissioned. So some of these things we have to have people on board, the builders, the architect, the structural engineer. Then you look at the integrity of and government must also be on ground to ensure that everything is done according to standard. Not that we just see some fine building, nice painting, but we don't know that there are some cracks that have been mended. So some of these, may their souls rest in peace.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much, Ben Shamak, former Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, for reviewing our national dailies this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And on this note, we draw the curtains on Daybreak this morning. Thank you so much for watching. For all of our viewers that called in to share your thoughts during our interactive segment, to the guests that made it to the discussion segment, we say a big thank you to you for sticking to Daybreak. Catch us same time tomorrow and for another insightful and informative segment on the show. I am Mimuna Bagodu.
And I am Hawa Ademikiao. Thank you for sticking with us. For more, you can follow us across all our media platforms and watch our YouTube live stream for more information, if that's what you're looking for. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.